Hey everyone, Reid Henrichs with validity, and the purpose of today's video is to explain to you why history is so repulsive to the left or Marxist or communist or socialist, whatever you want to call them, they're all under the same banner. My goal for this video is to show you and to explain why history is so dangerous to these people and why that's one of the first things when they take control of a country that they try to erase. So let's get started. If you're like me, I'm sure you've noticed that in the last few years that our government has really tried to shame others into thinking about this country's history. See, when I grew up, we were taught that the Founding Fathers were good people, that this country was started for the purpose of limited government and individual freedom and responsibility, that the United States was a champion for human rights in the world, and it largely has been. When we think about all of these things that were being taught, that's really not what's being taught today or even what's being shown on the news. We have to understand why. Why is this the case and why is it so dangerous? Why does history need to be revised or rewritten by all these people on the academic left? Well, let's think about this. Last year was the 800th anniversary of the Magna Carta. And if you guys don't know what the Magna Carta is, it was a document that was in the early 13th century that was signed between the nobles of England and King John. What this is, and it was a huge deal for me. I mean, I remember reading about the Magna Carta and learning about it growing up. And it was just a massive deal because this was one of the first times in the history of the world where a group of people demanded to a king that he follow certain rules or face repercussions or face rebellion or face even a possible overthrow. This was a very Western thought, and I say that in terms of Britain and Ireland and Scotland and things and countries like that, because this is where the United States largely descended from those people. From that group of people is where the United States government was early founded on those principles. And we think about this. You can demand to a king the rules and pre-establish the rules and say any violation of this will lead to your demise. This was a very radical train of thought to Western civilization. We couple that and move forward for 400 years or so, and you have the English Civil War, when the king was actually beheaded because he violated a lot of those concepts and was becoming what the people in that country thought was tyrannical. We see this later in the Glorious Revolution with King James, when he was also forced to let the throne go. Fast forward to the American Revolution. We think about our own Declaration of Independence, and we think about what it was. It was a case laid out by our founders against King George III. And we think about it. These were the terms. He violated them. Therefore, this is our justification for becoming a society, becoming a free country, breaking away, becoming a new form of government. Why is history so dangerous to the left, you may ask? Well, the left doesn't like rules being placed on government. They like rules being placed on you. They like rules for thee, but not for me. And that's their mentality. We see this happening all the time in our country right now. I mean, look at Hillary Clinton's emails. If anybody else, and this is a senior Navy official that got up in front of Congress and said, if I would have done what you did, I would be in prison. And in fact, there's people being put in prison for far less egregious offenses than what she did. We have to think about this. Why is history so dangerous to them? Because, number one, it limits their power. It shows that when government becomes tyrannical, it is not only your right, but it is your duty to abolish or alter it in some fashion. That's dangerous to them because it breaks the status quo. The second reason history is dangerous to it is because we look at all these people that have come before us that have been willing to rise up, that have been willing to fight for their rights, that have been willing to establish a form of government that better suits their needs. That's also dangerous. Why is history also important? Why is it also threatening to them? Because they know full well that to build a new house, you have to tear the old one down. And that is the goal of the left and the progressives, is to tear this country's history down and teach young kids that, oh, those men weren't so great. They weren't all wonderful as they're made out to be. Well, first of all, yes, they were. Were they imperfect? Absolutely. Name me one human being. Well, I can name one human being that was perfect, and hell, they killed him. But we think about this. We think about all these people, folks, from the past that give us courage. They give us stories. They give us all of these things that we can draw from. What I really want you to think about, and this is for you younger people watching the video, I know there's a lot of you on the channel that have subscribed, high school and college, and even if you're not in that age group, I hope that maybe you can reestablish some interest in history for you, that the history of the United States, make no mistake about it, our founding documents were designed to limit government and maximize your individual liberty. Any law that is contrary to that is contrary to the spirit of the Constitution. The Constitution does not give you rights. It's a blueprint against government. You don't have rights that are enumerated because they're too many to even count. So when we think about this, folks, we think about why is the left so threatened? Why are they so threatened? Because it limits their power and it gives you more choice and more sovereignty over your life, and that is just not acceptable to them. You have got to turn to government for answers. They want you to turn to them for all the help, for your breakfast, lunch, for your dinner, for your clothing, for your house, for your education, for your health care. There's nothing that they don't want to reach into your pocket and take and absorb. This is evil. That's called a dystopia. Make no mistake about this. Communists have been in this country for a long time. They've been in this country well over 100 years, and their entire goal is to agitate Americans against one another. Their whole goal is to subvert government by becoming a part of it, and their entire goal is to make sure that the Constitution is reduced, as in the words of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, another progressive, to a little document from the quaint times of horses and buggies. Think about the disdain for the greatest document in the history of the world, the United States Constitution, historically speaking. We think about that. Think about the disdain for that. Think about the absolute disrespect. And you see this manifesting itself in society today. People not standing up when the national anthem is playing. You want to make a statement, that's fine. Do it somewhere else. You're free to do whatever you want to. And this isn't a First Amendment issue. But think about the disrespect that is. Think about the disrespect for that. We think about all these things going on in our country. We think about all of these institutions that were once venerated and looked at with honor and reverence. And now they're being reduced to whiny, sniveling little women and men that just want to make a name for themselves. That's why history is so dangerous to the left, because we know for a fact that with facts and logic, there's no way they can win. If you found the information in this video helpful, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Facebook, that link is down below. And if you want to learn more about your country's history, come on out to Valor Ridge and we'll teach you all about it. This is Reid Henrichs with Valor Ridge reminding you, the lessons that we learn are written on the tombstones of others. We'll see you on the ridge.